Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Ulix Core box. The Ulysses Odysseus Core box. I don't know why I have such a weird relationship with this name. Anyways, for the Bayou faction, the Sui and Pig keyword. Sui being all the non-pig characters in this lovely group, and then pig being pigs. Pigs is pigs. Right, Ulix, right here, this lovely gentleman, is our master, plus Penelope, his lovely totem. Old Major, this big pig in the back, and then three wild boars, this being one of them. But that is our artwork. On the back, we get to see Ulix with his bum leg and his bow, Penelope, Old Major, and the three wild boars. Those are our renders. Let's look at the sprue. All right, for a Bayou sprue, this is downright simple. So we've got Ulix here, if my camera could focus. And then here is Penelope, Old Major, and then our wild boars being about 6 bits each. 5 or 6. Alright, again, quite simple. Let's go ahead and look at the instructions first and then get started on Ulix. Here's our pig farmer. Order will be, you'll grab the body and then add the bum leg after that. Then we can do the left arm, the right arm, the head, and then attach the satchel to the left arm and finish with the bow on the back. There's going to be some sort of weird interaction between the bow, the satchel, the arm, and the body, so that order might change, but pretty much let's do the limbs first, okay? Grab the body and then the peg leg. Okay, our connection point for the leg is going to be right here. You can kind of see the smooth connection point, whereas on the back, this is nice and rounded, not really a connection point. So, kind of hard to tell because he lost his foot, seems like that. Alright, now attach it to his body. And 1 and 2. You saw in that connection point there was a big hole in it, but it didn't really have any corresponding peg on the leg bit. This is one of those pretty old 2nd edition sculpts. Heck, it might even been 1.5, I don't know. So sometimes weird kooky things like that happen, but there's no real peg to fit into that hole. It fits in just fine, though, without sliding around too much. Alright, let's do the left arm, the one holding the satchel. There it is. We'll tidy up that seam later. I just want to make sure that the shoulder is relatively flat. Alright, now we do the right arm with the walking stick. Keep your seam smooth, and it will be just fine. I realize I probably have tweezers I can use to hold this up. Anyways, that's the arm. Now let's add the head. Oh yeah, the left arm definitely needs to go in before the head does, because the head rests on top of it. Okay, now let's do his satchel, which is going to cover up the rest of this big hole on his back. No, let's add his bow and quiver on his back, shoulders right here first, and the quiver, the arrows will be, the ends of the arrows, the feathers of the arrows will be on this side. And there we go, one bowstring going in kind of right under his elbow, but you can see the string occurs correctly, so that's how it's supposed to sit in. The other string will just go in the crook of his left arm. Alright, now let's add our big sack! Big sack acquired. Seam looks pretty good. Let's get him on a 30mm base. Ulix Turner is done. Moderately difficult mini, mostly because of getting that peg leg to sit where it's supposed to, and the order of assembly with the bow and the satchel. Again, remember, you gotta have the left arm in, and then do the head, and then do the bow and quiver, and then the last part of the pack. The order is important. Other than that, pretty simple. I'd still say this is below difficulty. I mean, below average difficulty. So let's move on. Penelope is going to go real quick. We got 2 halves of a dog and then a head of a dog. So let's do that. Right half of dog. Add left half of dog. Headless dog. Unheadless dog. 30mm base. Penelope is done. It was It was three bits. Good doggo. Old Mahor is only 6 pieces? Nice. All right. We'll do the 2 halves of the body, figure out where this metal goes before we add the left leg, and then we'll combine the 2 halves of the head and plop that on top, call them good. So let's grab the body. Left pig half plus the right pig half equals 2 pig halves. Oh, there's where our metal's gonna go, so we'll just add that right now. Right on his neck. I get it, he's a major, so he needs a medal of some kind. Anyways, let's do the front left leg now. Oh, there. Alright, looks like actually we can glue each half of the head to the body first, so let's go ahead and do the right side of the head, this one. And that's in place. So now let's just do the left side of the head. And there we be. We have one completed Old Major. Let's put him on a 50 mil. Old Major is all done. Not a lot to say here. The seams aren't terribly great, but this is again a pretty old miniature. If I had to pick a most difficult part, it would be the metal because it is the smallest bit. That's it. Really stretching for it. Let's look at the minions now. Alright, this is embarrassing, I can't count. So 2 of these 3 wild boars are 4 bits, and one of them is 5, so silly me. But things of note. This is Boar 1 on the instructions. This is actually Boar 3 on the instructions, and this is Boar 2 on the instructions. We'll go sprue order, but just letting you know that when we look at the instructions, which we'll do right now, that it is a different order than listed on the sprue. Let's look at those now. Okay, wild boar number 1, do the 2 halves of the body. Then we'll glue the 2 halves of the head together and slap that on the body. Left boar half plus right boar half. Alright, set that down. Now we have the lower jaw of the boar head. Add the upper jaw and head. Got our boar's head. Now let's just plop it into the neck hole. Alright, it's done. Our first wild boar is done. We're going to name this one Berkshire. I guess putting the 2 halves of the head to... Do I really need to go over it? I know, it's what I always do. Putting the 2 halves of the head together was the hardest part of this build, and I'm really stretching for that one. Let's move on. For our second wild boar, you're going to accidentally clip out the body when you are assembling the first wild boar. So just keep in mind that there should be an entire left half of a boar here, but we'll take that, add it to the other half, and then do the same thing again, combine the 2 halves of the head, and then add that onto the body, although it seems to be more of a nose and a lower jaw. Anyways, let's keep going. Left half of pig, right half of pig. Make pig body. I'm gonna stop talking like this. I sound stupid. For no reason, realizing you can't really combine the 2 halves of the lower jaw and the snout, so we're just gonna add the lower jaw to the body right now. Okay, and now we just do the snout on the snout hole. Second pig done. Our second wild boar is done. We're gonna call this one Hampshire. You know, getting the lower jaw on there was not great. It was just kind of hard to wiggle it to close the gap. So yeah, that's the hardest part. I actually have a hardest part this time. But again, there's only 4 bits, so that's all I have to talk about. Let's move on. Our last pig has 1 whole extra bit. Like all the other ones, we'll combine the 2 halves of the body in this case, and then we will do the front legs. I think that's our front left leg and our front right leg, possibly, and then we'll finish with the lower jaw. And like always, we start with left pig half, I guess like always. And we've got 2 halves of a pig now. Alright, let's do our left leg, the one that is not bent at all. It's going straight. I mean, well, it is at an angle, but it's kind of... Shut up. Anyways, let's do the other one, which is a lot more bent. Okay, that looks good. Now we'll just do our lower jaw. Maybe all done. Alright, jaw in, and all the bits are together. Let's put them on a base. Our third wild boar is done. We're going to call this one Kuni Kuni. It was 5 pieces. Hardest part was the jaw, just because it was the smallest bit. That's it. Let's look at the whole box. The Ulix Core box is done, containing Ulix Turner, Penelope, Old Major, and 3 wild boars. Box was incredibly easy, the hardest part being Ulix himself because of the tininess of, say, the leg, and it didn't really have a solid connection point, and figure out the order of the bow versus the pack on his back and all of that. But that was still not too hard of a build, and the most difficult by far out of all of them. Everything else was just a few pieces. Really enjoyable to do with one of these boxes every once in a while. Still trying to cleanse my palate from that maiden mist. Anyways, I've been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux.